What's going on, everybody? So it's that time of year again. We are going to switch from doing one area focus, which we call cycles, to a new area focus. And we ran that last one from June until August. We're kind of in a break period right now. And the things that we focused on in that last cycle were single leg stability and stamina. And I believe we've gotten plenty of that. Pressing hypertrophy, and the program we used for that was a 6x10 bench press program. So amazing success. We focused on zone 2 mixed modality, and I think we probably heard the best feedback about that. So we may see that moving forward. And then lastly, more of a focus on trunk, core, or abs. I think it was a really good 8-9 weeks, and it's time to transition to the next one. The way that I choose what the focus is going to be in the next mesocycle is I ask our subscribers specifically what they would like to see. We get a lot of feedback, and some of it we can apply, some of it we can't. But this time I asked 3 questions. The first is, what would you like to do in the next cycle? The second was, what would you like to continue doing in the next cycle? And then, of course, the last one is, what would you hope to God you never see again? So we got feedback mostly in the first 2, but a little bit in that last one as well. Overwhelmingly, what we got as feedback for what people want to see the most is more strength and a lower body strength focus. So the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna apply 2 strengths per microcycle. We program on a 6-day microcycle, so generally I try to only program 1 strength day in those 6 days. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 2. And the first is, again, going to focus on that lower body. We're gonna choose something different, not go that 6x10 route with the exercises we're choosing. Instead, we are gonna do a 5x5 of 2 different exercises, the deadlift and the front squat. The way that's gonna work is we are going to do the deadlift on the first microcycle in a 5x5 format, and then we're going to do the front squat in a 5x5 format in the next cycle. So that's a pretty cool way of doing it. But the neatest part of this is, on that same first cycle where you do the deadlift 5x5, what you're going to do is do a front squat in the same volume that you did in the cycle before. So in other words, if you completed 10,000 pounds in your 5x5 and you choose to do, let's just say 100 pounds, you've got to do 100 reps of 100 pounds of front squat on that day. So it's a pretty fun way of doing it. You can go medium, light, or heavy depending on how you feel on that second exercise. And then the next week it flip-flops. You do a 5x5 of front squat, and then you do a match of your volume in whatever format you want on the deadlift. So that's how we're getting away from not getting hurt during that time frame, but still getting the same volume. To hit the second mark, which is to have a second strength day per week, we're gonna actually add in an upper body strength day. And that will do the same format of a 5x5 and a total volume exercise. And those 2 exercises will be the shoulder press and the dip. So the shoulder press, we're taking the shoulder to full flexion, and in the dip, we're going to full extension. So it's a really cool way to build durability around the shoulder. And most people are pretty weak at those 2 movements. So you can think of it as heavy, but again, not so heavy that it's gonna affect your nervous system and wipe you out for the rest of the week. Second thing that people want to see is more high intensity workouts. And by that, they don't necessarily mean more per week. They mean, I want to see one that has a higher intensity level, such as 30 clean and jerks for time. Something where you're going to zone 4 or potentially even zone 5 in a single push. So we'll be programming those days where we're going to do intervals where you're going to max it out. It's not going to be fun. But what I'm going to encourage people to do is wear a heart rate monitor while they're performing these zone 4 or 5 days so that they can accurately assess whether or not they're achieving the stimulus of high intensity. Those are our 3 things that we're going to add to the program. 2 strength days per week. We want to add lower body strength, which we're going to do with a deadlift and front squat. And then finally, more high intensity focused exercise. So we're going to put those 3 things in there. Now, to answer the question, what do people want to keep in the program, the number one thing that people said that they want to continue is zone 2 mixed modality exercise. People really like that stuff, so we're going to make sure that we keep that in there once per cycle. The second thing that people want to see consistency with is running. And we have continued a program where we're running at the same speed in interval work for building and duration. And this is, people are really seeing a major difference, not only in their running stamina, but also in their VO2 max and how they feel. We've had people give us feedback that they've done their firefighter test and they had a higher VO2 max than they had before. So this is all really good news, and we're going to continue moving forward, but we're going to mix it up a little bit. To help meet that first need of having higher intensity days, we will have treadmill running days where we are going to run harder in intervals than what we had done before. So expect to see that. It may not be in the first couple weeks of this cycle, but it will be mixed in now for the moving forward with the running that we are already performing. Now let's talk about what people don't want to see. Really, it only came down to two things. The first thing is what we do on our active rest days. We did a basically 6 to 8 week cycle where we rucked on a building time duration every Thursday. I think people like it, but they're ready for a change. So we're going to mix that out of there, and we're going to add in some standardized stuff that we've done in the past, which is move slow, work through some range of motion in both actively and passively in exercises that you're going to still work out for an hour, but it's going to be nice and easy. So those are Thursdays. Finally, accessory work. People love the accessory work, but they want to see a change in how it's programmed, how the format is. So what we're going to do this time around is you're going to notice that there's going to be a lot more stability work, specifically for the shoulders, the knees, and the hips, and that will be built in as accessory work both before and after the main workouts. Additional to that, people really requested a pull-up program. So on our pulling days, we're going to really try to hit more pull-up strength work, which will include work with the biceps, lats, and other musculature of the upper back. So you'll see all that stuff in the accessory work. Why do we use cycles? Well, let me just say first, a varied program is a lot of fun to follow because you're seeing different movements, different time durations, different intensity levels in a course of a year. And I love that. That's great. But we can do that as part of a short-term 6 to 8 week goal or focus. And the way that that looks is we could have 2 or 3, like we talked about earlier, lower body strength, upper body strength, maybe strict pull-ups as a focus in 6 to 8 weeks. What you'll see is you'll do those elements and things that contribute to those elements more throughout the week. So even though the way that I program looks varied, it's very intentional, it's very thought out, and it really helps us reach a goal by the end of that 6 to 8 weeks. And that's what people like to see, because if you're meeting goals in a short duration of time, it gives you some happiness to know that your program is working. And it's avoiding getting boring by making it 16 weeks or 24-week format. So that's why I like these short cycles. Guys, I'm excited about this one. We're going to keep it nice and short, 8 weeks, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see you on the feed. If you have any questions, hit us in the comments below.